We are not satisfied. We are conducting an internal review. The president has called for a whole of government review.
That was Secretary of State Clinton yesterday previewing what is expected to land on the president's desk today in the Situation Room. He will get some results from that whole of government review.
And it's the State Department on the hot seat, not just there, but with another White House party crasher. Top Line starts right now.
Hello and welcome to ABCNews.com's Top Line. I'm David Chalian.
And I'm Rick Klein.
Each weekday, we're bringing you the very latest political headlines, reporting, insight, analysis, everything you need and want to know about politics.
And follow us via Twitter. It's twitter.com/The Note. Let us know what you think.
Kick us off, Rick. What's your top line?
Team meeting. President Obama huddles with his top advisors on both terrorism and national security and justice, all to try to get some more answers about that failed Christmas Day plot that has consumed Washington for the last 10 days or so. And David, this is a time, I think, for the president to kind of hit reset on the public perceptions around this. He was slow out of the box, didn't respond for a couple days. There's been some halting responses from some of his top officials. This is a chance for him to go to the cameras, I think, flash a little bit of anger and demand some results.
He will do that, obviously, after the meeting, not take any questions. So they definitely want to frame the message that way. And we hear the reporting going in. Jake Tapper was saying he's going to demand specifics that he can get updates on going forward. As seen on TV, or maybe not, the healthcare endgame is underway. We're going to have a behind closed doors meeting with President Obama and Speaker Pelosi and Majority Leader Hoyer today. Dick Durbin and Harry Reid will be on the telephone. This will be the beginning of many behind closed doors negotiations between the House and the Senate to try to get this bill done. You may recall, Rick, that the president promised that this would all happen on C-SPAN cameras. The head of C-SPAN has sent a letter saying, hey, we're ready to provide the cameras. This is not the transparency that this administration promised.
This is flat out a broken promise. There's just no hedging around it. This is something that he said would happen that is not happening in terms of the transparency. We could talk about it all day, but that's just how it is. It seems almost laughable to think that it would ever be possible to do that, but he did say it. And now it's going to be responded to, I think, maybe not at all. It's nice of C-SPAN to offer those cameras. We'd offer them as well, I'd say. Crasher company. That's right. There is a third party crasher at that White House, the first state dinner for President Obama. This time it is someone who joined the Indian delegation. It was under the purview of the State Department. Again, that means it's the State Department's responsibility to have known whether this was an additional person who wasn't on any of the lists, but it puts more scrutiny once again on Desiree Rogers. There's a column by Sally Quinn in the Washington Post today saying it's time for her to go. This is someone, a veteran watcher of state dinners, to someone to take responsibility for the fact that there was now an additional breach of security.
It's unclear so far, I haven't seen if previous White Houses have used that kind of process. The State Department takes charge of the foreign delegation, does the magnetometers at a hotel. And if that's new to this White House, then that will certainly fall on Desiree Rogers' shoulders. And Steele's pessimistic prediction. Yes, if you're a Republican candidate running in 2010, your party's chairman says you have no chance at taking the majority. That'll always boost confidence for the party. Michael Steele out there again today talking to Sean Hannity. And unlike Eric Cantor and chairman of the NRCC sessions and what have you, the chairman of the Republican Party says that his party will remain in the minority.
It's a great day when the Huffington Post says that the Republicans have a shot of taking back the House and that the chairman of the Republican Party says, no, not so much. This doesn't change any votes, but it is not a confidence booster.
We're going to begin with that meeting at the White House today. We're joined by a former Bush administration official from the Department of Homeland Security?
Security,
let's do that. Thank you, yeah. You were an assistant secretary there,
right.
Stuart Verdery. Thank you very much for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Let me first begin, if I can. Take us inside a meeting like this and tell me the value of a principals meeting like this in the Situation Room with this kind of scenario, or is it purely PR, or is there actual value that can come out of it?
No, there's actual value. I mean, the cabinet doesn't get together very often to meet with the president on such a high profile issue. Security, as we know, Homeland Security especially, has not been on the front page of the news this year, during 2009 in particular. So it's a very important meeting. This is interagency cooperation at its best, we hope. And so we're going to see how the State Department, how Homeland Security, how FBI, how the counterterrorism, how intelligence officials, what do they think went wrong? What are the solutions they're going to propose? And what does that mean for the traveler and for business and the economy?
So are these things that are typically pre-cooked? I mean, we know a little bit about what the president is going to be ordering out of this, or is he actually trying to find some new solutions out of this meeting?
Probably a little bit of both. Obviously, they've submitted briefs ahead of time on what they want to do, where the holes were, new procedures they want in airports and in screening and watch lists and those types of things. At the same time, you can never discount the value of having high intellectual individuals sitting around a table debating about the pros and cons of various things, especially where you're dealing with things that can impact the economy and people's civil liberties. So I think I think the discussion itself is well worth it.
And when an incident like this happens, is the feeling you think inside the government, and knowing this from when you were inside the government, when an incident occurs, are Americans a little bit more willing to give up the civil liberty side of this debate and willing to take on a little more security?
We'll see. I sure hope so. I think that we have let our guard down the last couple of years, in particular, not getting equipment out where we could have to find explosives, not moving down the path of secure identification. I think we've let our guard down to some extent, and I think this gives us a chance to revisit some things that we could do. We need to invest more in what we do with international travelers, both Americans coming home, foreigners coming in. We need them to come for business reasons, for travel, for public diplomacy. At the same time, we absolutely have to make sure they're not on watch lists, that they're screened appropriately. We need to put those investments in place.
When you say we've let our guard down, are you referring specifically to the Obama administration of the last year, or is that the late-stage Bush administration as well?
I don't think it's just the Obama administration. I think every day that's gone on since 9/11 is one day further away where we remember that sense of outrage, the sense of we'll do anything it takes not to have this happen again. And to be honest, we've also invested heavily. We've done good things. We've built entry-exit programs. We've done screening. We've done watch lists. We've done a lot. Obviously, they're not perfect, but I think this is a wake-up call, so to speak.
And I'm wondering if you have a sense that we're getting this increased airport screening. I want to know, is that really where the problem is right now? I mean, is airport screening the problem here? It seems to me this is more about drop balls inside of intelligence gathering and dots that needed to be connected. And I'm wondering if airport screening is more a psychological deterrent and a fortress that gets built and shown on TV and what have you, but actually is not how we're going to start solving this problem.
Well, I think that's the way the media likes to portray it, because they can go to the airport and take pictures. They can show people being screened.
We just showed some of them.
Exactly. And so, you know, those are things that are good for. But it really, you need both. It's like a football team. You need offense, defense, and special teams. You need both. Obviously, if you're customs, if you're TSA, you can only be as good as the intelligence you're given. If you're looking for bad people, you need to know who they are. At the same time, we also have to have baseline procedures in place on finding explosives, on looking for people who aren't on a watch list. That's one of the biggest concerns. There are people out there our intelligence services have never heard of. They're well-trained operatives. You can only find them if you have good physical screening at airports and other places.
It seems that one of the frustrations you hear from travelers around this is that it seems so reactive. Every time, so you have someone tries to bring a bomb on a shoe, now you have to take your shoes off. They try to bring in liquids, now you can't bring liquids. Now it's going to be pat-downs because someone brought powder sewn into his underpants. Are there other things going on, though, that maybe we're not seeing on the screening end of things that try to be a little bit more predictive, perhaps?
There is, and I think part of the people say, well, you're fighting the last war, but that part of that is deterring copycat individuals, and that does happen. People say, well, I worked for this guy, right, I'm going to give it a try. So there is some value in deterring what has already happened. At the same time, there's a lot going on behind the scenes. There's profiling going on in airports, looking for odd behavior. People wearing trench coats in the summer, people sweating for no reason, those types of things. And the big thing that's going to go on, I think you'll hear the president and his team talk about this later today, is working with foreign governments, with airlines on information sharing. Again, those governments oftentimes know more than we do. If we can have access to the files on their individuals, their people of concern, you can get that into our systems, and you can really find those needles in the haystack that are coming in every day, millions of travelers coming into the United States.
And finally, we've already sort of heard out of the White House that we don't expect heads to roll here at all. But when you saw Janet Napolitano, misspeak or speak inartfully, and then she clarified her words, is she somebody? And obviously, you're of the other party.
Right.
But when you're looking at her, is she somebody who you think is qualified for that job, or no? She should be her head should be demanded by the president.
No, I think she's eminently qualified for the job. I think she's done a good job over there during the last year. I think they were hoping Homeland Security wouldn't be on the front page of the news, other issues to deal with, but she's clearly qualified. I think, again, it's a tough job. People only notice the DHS secretary when there's a problem. It's like a baseball umpire.
Good point. Quickly, anything in the last 10 days that's come out that you said, this is a red flag that probably would have been picked up in the Bush administration that was missed under the Obama administration? I
don't think so. I think these are career officials making tough decisions with incomplete evidence, associations, accusations, these types of things. They're not going to get it right 100% of the time. I think the question is, what do we do going forward? How do we balance civil liberties? What do we do with foreign governments? The president's loved overseas. Let's go out and negotiate good information sharing agreements. Let's get trusted traveler programs out there. There's a lot that can be done. Let's put some money. We've spent a lot of money this year in Washington. How much of it is going to secure international travel? Not as much as possible.
Former Bush administration DHS official Stuart Verdery, thank you very much for being here. Appreciate it.